Hello everyone, my name is Timothy, I'm a producer, and on the journey of making a world-class tabletop web series. In this episode of Making the Show, I'm going to be covering the sound treatment of this studio. But I filmed that a while ago, so time to cut back to the past me. So this is going to be the first test of what it sounds like in here with zero audio treatment. The only thing that's currently in here is a carpet on the floor. It's the same carpet we had in New York. It's just now in LA. And it absorbs a lot of sound, but it's not enough to take all of the echo, reverb, everything out of the room. For years, I've resisted doing actual sound treatment simply because researching it online and even in person with people you know can be very frustrating. There's a lot of opinions on this, and it's overwhelming for some people, and myself included. Even though I've worked in production for years, I've worked in sound-treated rooms, I've worked in sound-treated facilities, but for my own personal stuff, So I believe it's very important, but I didn't want to waste a bunch of money getting something that wasn't gonna work. When we first moved into Brooklyn Quarter Studio, we used those moving blankets. I got them from Harbor Freight and put in some grommets to be able to hang them like sound curtains over the windows. It was a terrible idea. First of all, they stink, like they smelled awful. And secondly, they didn't do anything to keep out the street noise and the highway that was pretty close to the studio. I don't have that problem here in Los Angeles, but I do have the problem of what I think is more reverb. I think it's more awful in here. So I'm going to fix it, and I'm going to start with bass traps. I think these are very important. The studios I've worked in that have had them, significant difference, especially for the low end stuff. This absorbs the beefy bottom of what you get for a lot of reverb and echo. And I'm bracing myself making this video that there's gonna be a lot of opinions in the comments. But hey, that means a lot of people are watching. And with the bass traps, I'm not doing the thing where you line all the way to from floor to ceiling. That's very expensive. I got a pack that had 8 of these. These are 12 by 12 by, I think that's 12, close enough. And these are gonna go into the corners. It's gonna be one at the top and one in the middle of the room. And this is to absorb all the low end. I also got these panels. Don't know if this is gonna do much, but at the very least, it's gonna take that sort of snare drum effect you get off of Wall, where you get basically the way to think about sound treatment is that the thicker it is, the lower the frequencies it absorbs. So bass traps, very thick, they're gonna absorb bass. This would be the higher end stuff. And this is taking off the upper end frequency. So for this is gonna go on the wall. I've got 12 of these, and I'm gonna arrange them in kind of a hexagonal pattern. Now with the bass traps, this kind of foam, in my experience, will stick to a 3M command strip. This isn't super heavy. This is some kind of pressurized, it feels like compressed plastic yarn. It's like a plastic felt. If I talk into this, I can actually feel the vibration in my hand. So it's working, it's absorbing. And I mean that as in like, there's a significant, this absorbs sound. What I think I need to do is, because I can't actually attach a 3M command strip to this, I just don't think it's gonna work. I'm going to instead cut some styrene. I'm going to use the shiny side down on this, and then I'm going to glue it to the back of these panels and use the styrene to attach to the wall. And that'll keep me from tearing the paint off if it's ever removed. Also, watching this is a little bit of a time travel. Technically, this is the first thing I've ever filmed in here. Danielle's filmed a bunch in here so far for a couple of other projects, but this is the first that I've filmed in the studio. So time traveling me with very long pandemic hair, unshaven. Hello, future. Hello, past. One last thing I feel I should mention, even though this looks very squishy and nice, is that it's definitely not edible. Do not eat this. No. So here we go. We're just gonna do a clap. And this is me talking as it would normally be. This is a test after the bass traps have gone up. This is me talking. I'm perceiving it as less reverberation, but the audio is going to be the actual proof in the pudding. All right, and time for the panels. And here we go. This is now fully treated. Bass traps and these hex panels. Sounds better to me. We'll find out on the audio, but presently in the room, I feel like I don't have to be as loud to talk over my own reverberation. I don't know if the hex panels are doing that much, but the bass traps are definitely doing something. It doesn't sound as hollow in here. I thought Past Me explained that pretty well. That's by far the most costume changes so far in one of these. In the last episode, I talked a little bit about the merchandise situation. That saga is not finished, so expect a future update. For a weekend trip, Danielle and I went up to Lake Arrowhead, and we had no idea how amazing the drive is. The time lapse at the beginning of this episode is from the top, what they call the rim of the world. But here's some shots of the drive. If you haven't already, I'd really appreciate if you could share this video. We're hoping to grow the channel. Right now, we're sitting at 124 subscribers. That's up from 2 last week, so we're making positive gains. And if you look at this big abstract bubble of interconnected dots, well, you could interpolate that this could be us one day, with Brooklyn Quarter at the center of a web. I like this graphic for what it promises. Also, a massive shout out to our patrons. If you're interested in supporting the channel, there's a link in the description to our Patreon, where there are several tiers with several great rewards. Supporting us on Patreon is by far the best way to support us, and for everyone that does support us there, I am very grateful. And that's it. I will see you next week.